What's poppin', y'all? It looks like DDG's issues with his cameraman are going further than just the most recent guy he had to fire at Streamer University, who is terrible because his old cameraman is starting to speak out as well.
But my biggest take on cameramen when they say they're not getting paid enough is, if that's the job and that's what you agreed on with the pay and you need more money, like it's being said, you have a lot of opportunities to make more money. So whether it was the clip of us reacting to Ty Lil's cameraman was saying, make content. You could make your content and still make money. You can create a clothing brand, make money. You have a lot of connections. I think the connections that you get from the job matter more than the money being made. I think connections in the long run make you the money that you want to make in any job, in any position, wherever you are. Connections matter way more. And from there, okay, cool, I'm getting paid. Me personally, I'm getting paid whatever I'm getting paid. If I want more money in life, I will go find the time to go make more money. If you work a regular job, whether it's McDonald's or whatever corporate job you have, if you want to make more money and you want it that bad, wake up earlier, focus on a business. Go to sleep later, focus on a business. That business gets to the point where it's making you a lot more money, then that's when you start deciding, do I leave something that's been comfortably giving me money for X amount of time and take that leap of faith on this business that I've been growing on the side? And that's where next stage of life comes. But that's my take on what was just being said.
So he gives a fair take to the DDG situation here, saying that, like, listen, if you have a problem with the pay and you're already doing the job, you're not getting blindsided by the pay. You know what the pay is before you take the job. And if you need to figure out another way, or if you need more money, then figure out something on the side. Now, this is where I start to kind of look at it like, look, if your job is to be DDG's main camera guy, right? Like, let's say Wiz Khalifa, right? Wiz Khalifa, he had the day-to-day vlogs. He was a pioneer in that space. He had a guy following him around with a camera for vlogs. That guy, and this is pre-recorded stuff, mind you. We're not talking about live streaming, which is a lot more hours that need to be recorded, but footage needs to be cut. At least with the camera operator for live streamers, you don't have to cut footage and edit footage. That's what these guys had to do. But these guys, and like I also said, D-Rock, the guy for Gary Vee, you don't have time to do something like that. And the job should, quote unquote, should, especially if it's a real job, not just some intern stuff like a personal assistant or something like that in the city that you're with the person, they shouldn't have to constantly be thinking, what can I do on the side? There are certain careers, like or jobs, like he's saying, oh, if somebody's working at, I don't know, like a burger joint or something, that they will have to be thinking about other ways to make money on the side. But those jobs aren't advertised or even seen by most people as something that you would spend a long time at. They're like starter or entry jobs, but that's not what DDG's looking for. So he is being quite cordial. And yeah, if you have to become an entrepreneur while which is already very, very difficult, while you're doing a camera operator job, then you're better off just doing not doing the camera operator job and becoming an entrepreneur in that regard. And you have stability where you're staying in one place. You have more time to do that. Now you're getting less money because you're with the camera operator, but you probably don't have crazy expenses that you need to cover in a family. Otherwise, you wouldn't be applying for a job like this. So that's where I disagree with this Ed guy a little bit. And like what ended up with him, he just ended up doing content himself now, which is not safe the way that he's describing, like have something that's consistent. And DDG would blame this guy for being in the situation that he's in right now, where he desperately needs a new cameraman.
Now, when y'all say 3K, the only one thing I have to say, bro, the main reason why I'm going through what I'm going through with this cameraman is because of my last cameraman. Not the guy I just fired, Ed. Let's be real. Ed quit. If Ed would have never quit, I would have still been using Ed. You feel me? And I wouldn't have to do all this extra. What's blowing me is, and Ed, I know you're going to see this clip. Bro, on some work. No, never again. Never, ever, 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 ever again. That don't mean I don't fuck with you, but it's like I would never let you film for me again. Ever. And I've been seeing Ed do these goddamn streams every goddamn day, doing cameraman podcasts, doing reactions to everything I say, do. I'm like, bro, come on, bro. That shit blowing me. It's like, this You only hit my phone and be like, hey, bro, like this and that, blah, blah, blah. He hit my phone to judge the cameraman tryouts. Why make this make sense? Why would you judge some cameraman tryouts and you the reason why I'm doing this? That don't make no sense. That shit just blew me, bro. Like, that shit blew me with it, bro. I'm like, man, that's crazy. Because all this shit is going on just because it wanted to quit.
So DDG does have a point here. So DDG is looking at this professionally, right? So he's saying that he doesn't have a personal problem with this guy because one of the requirements that DDG has is he's got to vibe with you. He's got to be able to catch a vibe with you and kick it with you off stream on some friend stuff. And you got to be able to do your job. But if you're somebody that's going to kick it with DDG, you're probably about your paper. And if you're about your paper, you are not going to stay in a cameraman job for very long. So this guy did exactly what DDG would do and what DDG's friends would do. And when he's saying, oh man, you wanted to judge the cameraman competition. So DDG, and this is where I find there to be a level of, I don't know if it's hypocrisy, but I will say it's a misalignment, for lack of a better word, because DDG now wants a cameraman that does not want to be a content creator and does not want to be a streamer. He has these new requirements.
I realized after my last cameraman, I need someone that is fit. Because there was a lot of clips missed because this person couldn't keep up with me. So I need somebody that is athletic. You feel me?
And I heard that shit you were saying online. What I say? I heard that shit you were saying online. What the fuck, bro? It's the first.
So on top of being somebody that needs to be fit, which is understandable, like the guy that he was with was very, very overweight, and he wants him not to be a content creator, which is understandable. But now you have the problem where you are creating a content-related event, which is his 24-hour stream that he's doing, finding a new cameraman, and a lot of people were trying to clown DDG and say, "Oh, you're not paying enough." He said that, and in this, he said the base pay would be $5,000 a month. $5,000 a month, that's $60K a year. You're not getting $60K a year for most jobs. You're just not. And then when people say, oh man, well, you know, I'm doing this job. Yeah, you've had years of experience, or you had to go through a bunch of school, or you had to pay a bunch of money to go through the schooling to get said job. So that's a solid pay, $5,000, but he is getting 12 people and he had to kick off a couple of people because they behaved in a way where they promoted the event, which was supposed to be private, or they weren't supposed to leak it, or they raised their hand when he asked if they wanted to become content creators and join his like Capaholics group, which is dead.
You know, if I give you, you know how events work, right? So if I give you 10 bands, right, for winning, when I give you 10 bands, that means you're gonna be streaming me for 2 months. You know that, right? So I don't want no laziness. I ain't getting no money. I just gave you 10. You know what I mean? So that's what it's gonna be. So we agreeing on that. 10,000 at the end. 2 months of filming. Deal?
Yes, sir.
I like that. Yes, sir. All right. Let me get y'all ages. Okay? Let me get y'all ages down the line real quick.
But you're hosting an event where people have to be content for you. So DDG is treating this like, hey, I should make a content event out of hiring a cameraman. And he's having the chat judge, which I get, this is the thing. The chat doesn't know what good camera work is. They just identify when it's bad camera work. So it's like good camera work is silent. They're not like, damn, this camera work is great. Especially the hive mind of the chat. These people are children. Most of the people watching DDG, they know bad camera work because that's when the content sucks. And they're like, yo, what the hell? We're missing out on something. The audio's not matching the visual. However, with good camera work, they can't tell. So when you ask them to judge what's good, they don't really know. And DDG is not really the one watching either because he's being filmed. So that's difficult. But you have an event for this. You have people show up, wear masks. The type of person that's going to do that is willing enough to get in front of the camera to be not only interviewed, but to have to go through all of these different challenges. That is the mentality of somebody that is willing and wanting to do content. Even if they may not have done it before, or they say they're not going to, they're willing to put themselves out there on that behalf. Versus like someone that really just cares about holding a camera, creative direction, things like that. They won't want to do something like this. Will they go out of their comfort zone to do that? Potentially, for the opportunity, because DDG got some people with some good experience there. And that's when people are trying to make fun of him and say, man, nobody's going to do this. I wouldn't do this. He'd have to pay me $15K for this. No experience, never picked up a camera in their life other than their iPhone or their Android. Well, if they picked up an Android camera, actually the Galaxy, that Samsung phone is actually a really good streaming phone. So Android lovers, they will get spared, aka the international viewers. They will get spared today. But he had people that have had experience working for other very successful streamers, people working on tours. People have done a lot. So he got qualified people, but I think DDG's asking for too much. He's asking for somebody that he can be cool with and kick it with off camera, but he also doesn't want the person to become a streamer. And this is a problem. This is a problem that Adam22 has run into, because you see how lucrative it can be to be in front of the camera, especially after the success of Johnny, his first cameraman, and even this guy Ed, who is trying to ride off of the coattails of a DDG, but DDG has to treat it like we need to have a continuing revolving door of content, or not content, of cameramen, and never have one person that we rely on. That's kind of like what Adam22 figured out, because what businesses used to do before this was they would have people sign a non-compete clause, which is, hey, you come here and you work for this business and you cannot leave and start another business, a competing business, which would be, in this case, you can't become a content creator if you work for me as a cameraman, because that would help you. But I think the FTC, they got rid of non-competes a couple of years ago. I think it was 2024. So you can't run a non-compete anymore. So all the people that work for Adam22 or all the people that work for DDG, there is nothing contractually that he can put in there that says that they can't leave and start their own thing. Which, if you're in the position where you're hiring for business, it kind of sucks, especially for a business like this. Like, you've seen it in, like, a bunch of people are like, oh, I left this content creator's business. They get a bunch of clout off of it. So it sucks if you're in the position of hiring. However, I think it's fair for business because it breeds more competition. So if people leave and they're good enough to maintain an audience off of the job that they were doing, then that says it all. Good job. And what DDG needs to understand, like, he's offering incentives, such as, like, he was saying that dude Ed would have made a bunch of money off of a clothing brand that they were supposed to do together.
Me and Ed, and it's not happening no more. Me and Ed had a clothing line coming out. We had samples coming in. Like, I'm trying, just because I ain't paying a crazy to hold a camera, it does not mean that I'm trying to, like, keep a nigga under. If Ed would have never quit, and he do this a lot, he did it last time we was working together. If he would have never quit, bro, the nigga would have made so much money off the clothes with me. And then on top of that, I had the nigga doing $1 a snap a little bit ago. Not, well, last time we worked together. $1 a snap. It ain't like, bro, I don't know when a nigga ain't getting paid.
Here's the thing. Somebody that, if you want somebody that's talented, that can do a bunch of different things, that's great with the camera and willing to stay there, they need consistent work. Because a couple of people that were, and I watched the stream, I watched all the people introduce themselves. I couldn't watch the whole 24 hours, but you're going to need somebody that believes that this is consistent. A lot of the time, these guys are like, yeah, you know, this person only needed me for a couple of streams, or I only worked with this person for a month or two. Somebody was working with Jay Cinco, and then I think something happened with their family. So Jay Cinco went with another person after having worked with them for 6 months, which is understandable for a Jay Cinco, because he's like, listen, I know you got whatever you got going on with your family, but the show must go on and I need another person. And some people, they just get iced out, as in, hey, I'm going to be taking a break for 2 months. So now the person has to find somebody else to work. So there's a lot of instability in this new field. Like, a camera operator for a live streamer is a very new career. Prior to 2022, most live streamers IRL would be holding their own camera. It would be a selfie stick that they're walking around. So like a Facebook, right? Or like a Google, if you want really talented people, you've got to put golden handcuffs on them. And this doesn't mean pay, but DDG's got to make it seem like, hey, listen, you don't want to leave. You do not want to stream because working for me is so amazing. Like, you see Facebook, offering, or Meta offering these AI people ridiculous contracts, ridiculous benefits, money, everything that they could imagine. Because, all right, well, why the hell would I leave and try to start my own thing? It's comfortable as hell over here. And if DDG wants somebody that isn't going to become a content creator or a streamer, because this is where he kind of gets rug pulled, because either he has to constantly have a revolving door of people ready to come work for him, or he has to make it so that they can't leave or find somebody really quickly after. He should run people through a personality test. Run people through a personality test if they're very introverted, very shy, but great at working a camera, which is exactly what you want. They're unlikely to ever get in front of the camera. But when you're hosting an event, like I said, where people have to get in front of the camera, do challenges, be seen and judged by hundreds of thousands because these things are getting clipped, then yeah, the person that's a little bit more introverted, higher anxiety, they're not going to want to show up to that. And then now you're losing on the person that you say you want because of how you cultivated getting the hire in the first place. So this is where I think it gets a little bit messy. And even with the clothing line, right? DDG's working with that guy at running a clothing line is very, very time consuming, very time intensive. DDG's role would likely be to just wear the clothes and promote the clothes. The cameraman is handling what else? Manufacturing, all this other stuff. So either designing, I think that dude Ed designs the stuff. So what is the cameraman going to do eventually when the clothing brand gets more and more successful? He's going to stop doing the camera work anyway. So even the opportunity that he was giving him so he could stay his cameraman, he would have made a bunch of money. He would have quit being the cameraman to run that if it was successful. Because you don't have a guy that's running the camera work and being a full-time or running a full-time successful brand. Those things don't go together. It takes too much time. And then, or he would have to hire other people to do that. So I think what DDG wants, which is like, he's not going to find it. I think it's too hard to find for the long term. Now, getting a job with DDG is good because you know it's going to be stable. DDG's been in the game for 10 plus years. He's been very consistent. He's at the top of the game. So you know if you get a camera job or camera operator job with him that you're going to last. If you're good at your job, you're going to be there for a long time. And you have at least, I would say at least like a year. Well, this guy, Ed, he was doing just fine. I think this guy, Ed, I don't know if he'll make it himself because first off, like your initial audience is going to be off of DDG. And I think he just tried to follow the blueprint that the Johnny dude did, which I don't know what that guy did. That guy worked some magic and made it happen. But I think a lot of people are going to realize that they would rather be the camera operator or the person behind the scenes of these things than the dread and the amount of effort it takes to be a live streamer themselves. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. I think the event was good content for DDG, but using it as an actual hiring process, I don't think it fielded for the personality traits that he claims to want. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed, and I'm gonna see you on the next one.